Yes, because Mr. Harper, you have shown only that you have no idea what to do except to distort the Liberal plan.
Where's your platform? Yours is the only party that hasn't put forward any platform yet in this election. All the other parties have.
And what do you tell Canadians? Everything is fine about the economy. The economy is not fine, and if you talk to Canadians today, that's what they'll tell you. Now, either you don't care or you're incompetent. Which is it?
What we have proposed yesterday has nothing to do with doing nothing.
You say you've got a plan. Where is it? Where's your platform? Under the sweater? You haven't presented one in this election. I find that shocking. I can't remember in history when that's happened. You say you've got a plan. Where is it? Where's your platform? Under the sweater? You haven't presented one in this election. I find that shocking. I can't remember in history when that's happened.
You're not making progress. Let him answer. Jill, you can claim it on future income. We're looking at the reimbursable option. It's very expensive.
About time.
What's important?
Let's go
what's important is that whatever we do.
So you're admitting you didn't get that.
We get in here. Do it. Asked and answered.
To start recognizing that it's simply bad economics to assume that dumping pollution in the atmosphere is free, but stopping that pollution from happening has to cost.
Let's buses made in Winnipeg instead of buying buses for the military from the other side of the ocean.
Let's let him finish the answer. That is, in fact, the policy.
Obviously not.
Now, Jack, let him.
Mr. Harper, it's a lie.
You have $40 billion in carbon taxes and $26 billion in cuts, and you have $12 billion where you don't even have a source of revenue for your spending.
I know the game you're playing. It's not true at all.
You need to know very clearly that you, Mr. Harper, picked an approach to dealing with climate change that comes right out of the playbook of Exxon and George Bush. It's called intensity-based targets, a nice neutral-sounding phrase. You know what it really means? It means that companies like Exxon, they can increase by multiple factors the number of barrels that they produce from those tar sands. And as long as they reduce the emissions per barrel a little bit, you're happy. Well, I'll tell you, Canadians aren't happy.
We have the shame of being the only country in the world that ratified Kyoto that's chosen to ignore its targets. It's a shameful situation for Canada to know, for Canadian citizens to know, that our government sent our negotiators to UN conferences such as Bali and obstructed progress even more than the Bush administration.
Things
the only
that Canada's
thing
doing.
that you actually said that's true is the work on national parks. Well done. Everything else is a fraud.
And that's and you learned how to say that in French last night.
I did. Fraud. Fraud.
Okay.
I find what you're saying, Mr. Harper, to be quite incredulous. Maybe you're hoping that Canadians forget history. Guess who was urging them to privatize the health care system? You led a citizens group that had that as one of its main objectives. And now you want a majority government? I'll tell you one thing. The NDP brought public health care to Canada. And we're not only going to stand and defend it the way Tommy Douglas would want us to, we're going to expand it into pharmacare and home care and training doctors and nurses. And the way we're going to do it is cancel your tax cuts to Exxon.
And I want to know whether you think conservatives are barbarians. Simple as that. Mr. Dion.
Hey, hang on a second.
Hang on. Let's go.
Let's support the arts and their workers and their families in a real way, for heaven's sakes.
That's her.
As if we were in the United States, President Stephen Harper.
Your conservative war room has a database that knows more about the individual Canadian voter than any prime minister or political party leader ever has, and for some reason your tacticians and strategists have decided that these mean-spirited cuts against artists will help win you votes, and that's the whole reason for these stupid cuts.
Let's go.
So it's pretty hard really to believe you on this stuff when you play political games.
We'll be back as a government.
Simply not true.
Yes, it's what you did.
And you've supported Mr. Harper 43 times. His policies, your responsibility. Start to realize the responsibility of your own party and you as leader of the opposition to keep Mr. Harper in power for so long. I don't think if you can't do your job as leader of the opposition, I don't know what you're doing running for prime minister.
You had a coalition with him in order to kill the Accord.
Mr. Harper, I don't think at the bottom line you can be trusted on this. I think your views on these matters go back a long way, and they derive from the philosophy emerging from the Bush White House. A philosophy which hopefully will be replaced soon.
American commitment
I didn't
to
say
Afghanistan.
that, but what I said is that
you're against the mission in Afghanistan.
If you had been prime minister in 2003, Canadians and Quebecers soldiers would be today in Iraq.
That's not
true or not?
That's not my position.
Mr. Harper is a very imprudent man because of his ideology that is so close to the views of George W. Bush, and he expressed with the words of the Prime Minister of Australia, the Conservative Prime Minister.
I'm tired of unkept election promises and politicians who kiss babies and care about seniors until the day after the election.
Well, of course, Mr. Harper, you have no program platform this time. You haven't told Canadians what you're going to do. The sweater is nice, but they'd like to know what your plans are, even if you don't intend to break the promises.